Proudly presented by Pence Homes and part of the Hitting the Hardwood podcast network. This is Lynx Happy Hour. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Lynx Happy Hour, the podcast where Lynx basketball is always on special. I am Terry Horstman, host of the show, here with you, and very excited because it's right off the top. Joined by my Hitting the Hardwood colleague, the founder of the Hitting the Hardwood podcast network, all the way from St. Cloud, Minnesota, all the way up 94, Mitchell HANSEN. Mitchell, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. As for context for the listener, we're talking Thursday afternoon, October 16th, 3:09 p.m. Central Time to be exact, and there still is no CBA, but we're not letting that damp our spirits at all. We're still making podcasts, making content, and just reveling in the magic that is the W. But I'm having a great time. We're about to go to the cabin this weekend, get a little bit of just a little bit of fall magic.
Yeah,
it's gonna be 60 degrees and sunny this weekend.
Heck yeah.
I
love it. We don't stop with the end of the WNBA season or potential work stoppage. We do not stop with.
Of course not.
So
no,
that's when we pick it up.
Yeah, it's like breathing. We only stop if I only stop if I go to Italy.
Yeah,
which I'm missing more and more as I'm in this country and in my day job. But
well, it seems like whenever you leave the country, the world ends. So
right,
it's good to have you back.
The world was ending with all of this. I think I mentioned this on either Andrew's pod or maybe whatever. But there's also the Fee and Kathy stuff was happening after the Lynx got eliminated. So I missed games 3 and 4 and the exit interviews. Real good beat writing, Terry. wasn't my call. I was helpless, Lynx fans. And then so of course the Fevers Kathy thing is happening. All this stuff's happening mostly while I'm asleep and I'm waking up to just hundreds and hundreds of texts. But also my beloved alma mater, Oregon State University, still searching for its first win of the football season. Just fired its football coach. I was back in town for that, but apparently partnered with a very seedy and shady NIL third-party company that it's all an embarrassment and it's terrible. And I, co-host a Oregon State podcast with my best friends from college, and yeah, so that was happening. I felt like, the Donald Glover meme where he's walking in with the pizzas into just a room that's on fire.
Yep.
I felt I was doing that, but in 2 different rooms simultaneously that were also on fire. So yeah, I was like, the first time I got to talk not Lynx or not Oregon State felt like a reprieve. Like, oh yeah, there is a world outside of these 2 teams that I cover. But
if it makes you feel any better, my college football team is no longer in existence. So
no,
yeah, St. Cloud State.
Wait, St. Cloud State doesn't have a football program anymore?
Nope, since probably
that seems wild to me.
2019, I think. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, so you can't even blame the pandemic.
No, we can't. That was before. It was all budget cuts.
What? And we'll get into actual W content soon, I promise. But what what conference was it in for?
It was in the NSIC. So
okay.
I think Mankato's in that too, aren't they? Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference.
Okay.
But yeah, they were actually pretty solid for a few years.
Was it just had to be like a money thing, I guess?
Yeah, it was definitely a money thing. I mean, ever since then, really, that school's been dealing with budget stuff. But it was a money thing. They weren't getting a lot of season ticket support, and it just ended up being one of those things where they had to cut that, and then they had to add a men's fall sport because you have to have a championship men's sport in the fall, and so they added a men's soccer team at that time. So
okay. That surprises me that they didn't already have a men's soccer team.
Yeah.
I guess I see how that level of football, it would be a challenge there with St. John's right there. Anyway, that's enough college football talk. Yeah. But go Husky. I assume St. Cloud hockey for both men's and women's is alive and well.
Yeah.
And
yep. Yeah, that's definitely the focal point of that school. So that's the moneymaker.
There you go. This episode of Lynx Happy Hour is brought to you by Pence Homes. The team at Pence Homes has experience working with first-time home buyers, folks selling their first home and buying their next place, to people looking to downsize. With the best tools, technology, and trusted vendors to help with any home project, Pence Homes is a top choice for buyers and sellers. For more info and to set up a time to meet with Nate and the team to talk about your home buying or selling needs, visit pencehomes.com. That is Pence, PENTZHOMES.com. Well, we got some links, or I'm still calling them links, even though very few of them are actually currently under contract. Though I bet their contract does extend through October 2025, the way that like language is, and it's probably through 2025.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Can we pretend for the duration of this conversation, this first conversation, that it's just going to be a normal offseason? And the Lynx who ended the season, there's going to be a little bit of turnover, but we're going to go into this conversation with the interest of tracking our same 12 Lynx over the course of the rest of the winter and what they're doing, with the interest of them coming back.
Right.
So that's what's structuring this conversation, because no one does it better than you when it comes to off-season updates to make it digestible. I spent the morning confirming where I thought everyone was playing. Well, we got to talk to people at exit interviews and things like that, but just making sure I had up-to-date things on, where like Cameron Taylor is playing, where, if Masha and Ola are going back to Russia, and just these roster pages that you have to ask to be translated to English, and you don't get the exact form. And I accepted cookies on a bunch of different like Euro League and other just leagues around the world website, and then I started getting like the spam that I normally get like tripled, and I imagine this had something to do with it.
Yeah, you've actually gotten farther than I have, because I have yet to dive into the off season or overseas play. But that will definitely be something I regularly do here in the next couple weeks.
This will help you like start that.
That's
like,
good.
Launch into it.
See the teamwork.
Exactly. All right, we're gonna go. Here's what how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go kind of like we've got a batch of players going to Unrivaled, so we'll start there, and then I think we have a couple players in France, and then that's the only. Yeah, everyone else is in either in a different league or in their own in a different country. So, all right, so let's start with season 2, Unrivaled.
They expanded.
They've expanded. There's another team. There are more players. There will be 48 players in the initial pool this year, and I imagine more than that will play, as there's people need to miss games for whatever reason. I'm knock on wood, there aren't too many injuries, but the just sort of the supplemental pool, I'm sure will put that number above 50 at some point. They have not revealed the final 2 players, so they're just really banking on the slow rollout dramatics.
I feel like they did the same last year, where they had at least one spot that was still open. I know that they were trying to get Caitlin Clark, but I don't know.
I think they had it was, yeah. I think they had that at 6 at some point, but then they expanded. When they kind of like grouped the teams together, there's still 2 people. There are 2 open spots left. They call them wild cards.
Yeah.
So they're in that same spot now, and I think that adds some attention to it, and some drama. On my offseason wish list is to have Unrivaled GM Claire Duelius on the show, former Lynx GM. So I have not texted you yet, Claire, if you're listening, and you might be. I'd be thrilled if you are.
That is awesome.
And then we'll get into the nitty gritty with Claire if that is if she is interested in coming on the show. But she probably has a lot to do this time of year. So there's possibly two more players. I don't think either one will have super strong Lynx ties because everyone sort of seems to be accounted
Right.
for.
Yeah.
Obviously, plans can change, and also Kayla McBride shows that you can play in seemingly every league on the planet in one off season. So Unrivaled though, here is 2025 Lynx participating in Unrivaled: Nafisa Collier, Kayla McBride, Alana Smith, Courtney Williams, Natisha Heidemann, Dejanay Carrington. I think Lynx fans would be interested in retaining all of those players.
I agree.
I certainly am. What excites you about that group of Lynx heading to Unrivaled, and what do you think a successful Unrivaled session looks like? And yeah, just whoever is like the most intriguing name to you out of that. Let's just start there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, I'm looking forward to the stud buds and see how that momentum carries in the unrivaled, because it will. And
Absolutely.
we'll see plenty of that this off season as well. But I'm just kind of looking forward to those two playing, Courtney Williams, Natisha Heidemann playing. Also, I'm really interested to see how the injured players do, or how they bounce back. That being Dejanay Carrington, if he's a collar, obviously. How healthy they are able to get, and how long it's going to take for them maybe to ramp up into Unrivaled. Because I would imagine, at least for Fee, it might it might run into that season a little bit and her recovery.
Right.
So just seeing how they kind of bounce back, and I know they will, but that how long it'll take for them to bounce back. Kayla McBride, I'm seriously waiting for her to run out of gas, but it just never happens. She just goes. And that she'll be doing what she did last offseason and Unrivaled. She'll be right up there as one of the top scorers again. That's just who K-Mac is, and that's her person, or her mentality, and kind of her eagerness to just keep things rolling. But yeah, I mean, I just basically named all of them, but
you haven't yet.
Well, Alana Smith.
You don't care about Alana Smith.
Yeah, that was the last one. For her, I don't want to say that I'm not interested in seeing what she can do, but I'm looking to see if she can maybe, and this is going to sound like a knock on her, but see if she can kind of balance things out offensively. For obviously, she was very talented defensively, but she was kind of streaky on the offensive end. So just kind of see if she can put in some of the work to kind of shore things up. It's obviously kind of a developmental kind of season, kind of the time in the off season for all those players. So just seeing how she can kind of continue to work on her game, if she does return to Minnesota next season, and just kind of how that will translate. But this is her first off season, I believe, not going overseas, and just kind of sticking here and playing here. So we've heard the benefits of players, last year in Unrivaled, talking about how that helps, and how they're maybe closer to family, or at least in the States. So that I think will benefit her, as well as just kind of being around some of the top talent and not heading overseas.
Yeah.
But I would say atop my list is really just to see how Dejanay Carrington and Nafisa Collier kind of bounce back. That's one thing I'm really looking at here in Unrivaled, at least at the start of it. And then just specifically Fee, once she gets back to full strength, she will do what she does. She's an MVP caliber player. But Dejanay Carrington, I'm a fan of her game, but I just want to see her healthy for a stretch, and see what she can do in Unrivaled against some of the top players.
Unrivaled tipping off on, I believe, January 5th.
I believe
TBS,
so, yeah.
True TV, HBO Max. Is it still called HBO Max? I don't. It doesn't matter. I think Dejanay talked about Unrivaled being a huge help to her last year, so of course I'm interested. Lan is the only one who didn't play in Unrivaled at all of that group. T wasn't part of an initial batch, but then played for like 3 or 4 different teams just as different players went down. We're looking at right now, the tip off of Unrivaled is about 81 days from when we're having this conversation right now. So that's time to get healthy, but obviously Fee and Nay didn't have just, it wasn't like just a stinger, either of those injuries. So I hope we're hitting the kind of happy medium of it giving them time to rest and rehabilitate and just get the health right, and then also go into intensive training and get some playing time in. I think undoubtedly it helped Fee. I think the how unrivaled it helps the bigs is interesting, because when
Mhm.
you think sort of 3-on-3 open court stuff, um, it lends yourself to think of more offensive attacking basketball. But obviously it wasn't like we were starved for great defense in this league last year.
Mhm.
I think this could be amazing for Lan, like especially where she struggled a little bit this past season on the offensive end. Like if we get last year, Lan was fantastic on both sides of the floor in 2024. But if we get sort of 2024 shooting splits for the rest of like next 3-4 years of her prime, that's like all-star starter level
Yeah.
stuff. And
Mhm.
I know she's made strides in a bunch of different leagues. China last year was one of them. Poland a few years ago, well documented. But this might be that right next step.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's just so unique.
Yeah, and just the consistency of facing some of that top talent too. And part of it is, a lot of players talked about it last year in the first season, that you build those relationships, you kind of feed off of one another. It's essentially like you're playing All-Star Weekend all, for months.
Sure.
And you kind of pull different things from different players, and just her being able to lean on some of those other bigs that have had that success and are those all-star style players.
Mm-hmm.
I think will be huge. And not saying that it's a drop off when you go overseas, but it's not as talented as what you see in Unrivaled. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think that she'll learn a lot, hopefully, and I hope that does translate into 2026 for sure.
And just those battles too. I can't wait to see Lan in the one-on-one tournament
Mm-hmm.
with some of these. Most of the big. I was trying to think, like, should they divide the guards and the bigs like at first? Like, should that be like part of the bracket? But I also kind of I love just chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So I just I hope we don't get. I want to see a Fee court rematch again. Of course, I don't want to see that in round one though. Um, but some of these like other bigs who are playing, I think that's going to be really really fun.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for
Mm-hmm.
all six of them down there for sure. But as far as potential tools to add to a toolbox, I think it's the most uncertainty for Lan, with also
Yeah.
maybe the biggest possible opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
um I think it did do a lot for Dijonay, even though her her season with Dallas wasn't great. But it was that part of the season wasn't really great for anyone on Dallas, including
Yeah.
Paige. It kind of took a bit longer. So I have no doubt that this will only continue to elevate her game. And like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, All-Star Weekend, you first thing you think of is 72-hour Twitch stream from the
Yeah.
Stud Buds. All-Star Weekend 72 hours, and Unrivaled is maybe exactly 72 days.
Yeah.
It's the second time a very, specific amount of days has been mentioned on the podcast. But yeah, I wonder if they'll do a 72-day live stream without turning the camera off.
I
I don't
you know
even know
I
if they have the energy for that,
I
but
wouldn't put it
if
past
anyone,
them. Wouldn't put it past them.
right.
The one thing that, like, even off the court, one thing that I'm kind of intrigued from a Lynx standpoint, just a team standpoint in general, is how these players can maybe, they all have relationships with the players that are playing down there, but how they can, get close to some of the, potential names that could come to Minnesota. You
Absolutely.
hear about that at, USA basketball, to a minor extent, All-Star Weekend. But you build those relationships in, you know, times like this, and with leagues like this, and who knows how that might benefit Minnesota. It might not at all in 2026, but it might.
Right.
You never know. And I know that, Fee talks about it all the time, in that she's, trying to attract players or trying to attract talent to this team, whoever that may be. That's something that they're gonna try to do. And just with the uncertainty of the off season and everybody essentially being a free agent. So that might be interesting too, and seeing what kind of relationships established down there. And what ends up happening out of that. And like I said, maybe it's nothing, but it could be something that happens down the road with the relationship they build.
Having that amount of talent in just one place, it is ridiculous, but also is going to be like the most ridiculous it could possibly be with just this the climate of this offseason and the uncertainty. And even let's be optimistic and just say the CBA is done. We've got a new deal in place. All of the free agents are going to be in one city, in each other's ears and stuff. It's going to be just nutty. I might try and block off some time just to be down there, in hopes that maybe I could do that in February a little bit. We'll have to see.
There you go. Get out of the winter. Get out of the winter.
I know, right? Yeah, maybe my birthday's in February too. I can make that a birthday gift to myself.
Even better.
Some Terry time on South Beach. I've never been. Miami's one of the cities I've never been to, so I might go. If listeners, if you have any Miami hotspots,
I did go down there this was a couple years after COVID, I think. I went down to Miami Beach and then therefore ended up going to Miami. It's a fun city. There's a lot to do down there, that's for sure. Miami Beach is kind of crazy, but I'm already too old for that. And
I feel like I really, like 12 years ago, would have been my hot spot for it. But also wouldn't have had as much to spend. What is the saying? Youth is wasted on the young, or whatever. Being young is wasted on the youth. Whatever. Yeah. So anyway, I'll just go down there, watch basketball, and read a book in the sunshine. That sounds perfect. All right. So it's those 6 players in Unrivaled, along with, as of this point, 40 other players, with two more to be named. Paige Beckers, who we've long known is going to be there. Also, former Lynx and Minnesota product Rachel Banham is on the Unrivaled roster this time around. So shouts to Paige, shouts to Rachel. Looking forward to seeing how their game translates and what it means for their continued development. At some point, whenever Rachel's retired, I just want to get a full play-by-play on this season in Chicago.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
I think we'll hear a lot about that in the next year or two.
Right. I know from a winning standpoint it hasn't been great, but man, I'm so interested in what's happening down there. But that's for a podcast for another day.
Yeah.
But anyway, shout out to Rachel. Can't wait to watch you in Unrivaled. Moving on to Lynx who aren't participating in Unrivaled. And we're going to start with Bridget Carlton, who has put some really fantastic overseas seasons together. Of course, I love, you love looking at going through all of the different names of teams. She is at CVVZ USK Praha, known shortly as USK Praha. That's Prague in Czechia. It's a EuroLeague team, so she will get to play in the EuroLeague tournament. I believe she is over there, but hasn't played yet. I haven't been able to find her in various box scores, but she's on like all like the roster pages, and she told us at exit interview she's going to go play in Prague. Didn't really elaborate much, but I think most notably when Bridget played in Hungary before the 2024 season, she was just wrecking people and putting up huge shots. She was, in a situation where she was probably the most lethal scorer on that team, Coach Reeve had said like that offseason going into 2024, she wants Bridget hunting threes. It's big for her. She's someone who's really, played in a lot of countries and played at a high level. So, what does a successful offseason in Prague look like for Bridget? Are you just hoping to see another EuroLeague run? Are you just looking at 3-point percentages? How are you going to handle assessing her performance this winter?
I would maybe just say consistency. Whether it's just well, mainly on the offensive end, but she's the kind of player that does a lot of stuff that really doesn't show up in the box score, which is important, and you need players like that. But I know Lynx fans who are listening to this have talked about all year long of just her kind of up and down offensive production, and part of that is her shot from three, but it did. Like I said, she does a lot of stuff that doesn't show up maybe in the stat sheet or in the box score. But it did, stats wise, she did drop off a little bit that, in 2025 here with the Lynx offensively. So I would just like to see, and she'll find her groove overseas, like she has in the last couple, off seasons, or it really has her entire career. But just trying to see consistency with her, whether it's from three or just on offense in general. It's a great time to work on that consistency and just kind of break things down a little bit, now that she has more time in the off season here. Maybe not as against as talented of opposition as maybe what she'd seen in the WNBA. So you're just kind of getting those reps in,
right.
Just continuing to find her groove. And one thing I did notice is she has been everywhere. She has literally been everywhere around the country. I think this is like she's in a different country. It seems like every off season, which is great. But
Turkey, Hungary, Spain with the last three.
Yeah, Australia, Czech Republic. I think you said Hungary, Israel. Yeah, France. Yeah, she's been all over the place. So but yeah, overall I'm just looking for consistency from her. And it'll be intriguing to see what happens with her this off season, whether she comes back to Minnesota or not. But we'll get to that point when we get there. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think of is kind of the glaring thing for her, on your end?
Yeah, I think just getting back to a point where she feels, comfortable being more aggressive on the offensive end again. And I think that, like, playing over the different overseas runs she's had has really helped. So I don't have that much concern. I also feel like I was the least concerned person in all of Lynx media with her play this last year. You probably joined me on that island where, there are games where I'm like, Bridget, shoot the damn ball, let it fly. But she's in the right spot every single time, making the right read every single time. But that being said, I'd love it if she lit it up from three. And I'm just like seeing box scores again where it's just BC in the 20s hit 5 of 7 from three, which is kind of what her Hungary season felt like. And I don't claim to be an expert on the various leagues across Europe, but I think Praha gives her a chance to play and get a lot of minutes in a league that, it's not going to be, it's not the number one league in Europe, but like this, like on her own team, she's playing with Janelle Salon and Caitlin Chen from the Valkyries. So there is, WNBA talent throughout the league. And then if that translates into a good Euro League run where you're playing the top teams in all the other countries as well. So yeah, I won't be concerned if we don't see just gaudy scoring numbers from her. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. And
yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at her numbers from last off season too, and she did take a little bit of a dip down in 3-point percentage. So I would like to see that creep back up a little bit. Now, I mean, you look at she was with Merson or whatever at the end of last off season. She had good success from three there. The other team she played for in Turkey, I believe. She didn't play that many games, so it's kind of a smaller sample size. But But yeah, I mean, if BC does what BC does, she shoots from three and she kind of lights things up offensively. And I'd just like to see that happen again. So hopefully that does happen this offseason.
All right. Earlier this season, Jessica Shepard told me that of all the places in the world she's been, Italy is by far her favorite, and she is returning to Italy this offseason, playing for Famiglia Scaio. I don't know, probably
One of the two.
Sciaio. Where the team that Dorka played for last year, Dorka is
Yep.
now in Turkey, and we'll get to Dorka, but I want to talk about Jess first. Jess had a clearly great run overseas before
Yeah.
this season. Came back like obviously always been a very strong player, but like we got like jacked Jess for the first time. Like you could tell that first day of training camp was like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. So playing in Italy, big league, good league.
Yes.
I think it's kind of just I want to make sure she's getting a lot of minutes, which I expect that she will be. But she's another player I don't worry about much, but I will get pretty excited if I see those numbers blow up again. And then that's a player more so than BC. I'm expecting the fight to retain her will be one of the harder fights of all the roster fights that are going to take place in free agency, because she's the type of player who will like jump in front of a train if it helps the team, and that's worth a lot. But I could see a few other bidders for her services and things getting to the point where you think, okay, can we pay a bench player this much money? I mean, of course we can. But Jess in Italy.
Yeah, I mean, she's playing for one of the biggest powerhouses in Italy. Like it's, if not the biggest, like that's a perfect spot for her. It'll be a good test for her to to be over there, be among the talent that is on that team specifically too. But I agree with you. I'm not worried about her. I mean, the amount of like 30-20 games that she had last year, she had a double in every game last off season overseas. So I'm not worried about her doing what she does. She will see, I think I'm pretty confident she'll see some of the similar minutes that she did last off season, and which will be good for her just to get that extended time, get extended run. And I think we'll see numbers with her as well. But I'm not worried about her at all. I'm more worried, like you mentioned, of what will happen with who she will sign with, and how that goes this off season. But I have no doubt that she'll have a strong off season again.
Lots of Lynx flavor on this team, or former Lynx flavor. She's playing with Chachi, which is great. Still a fan favorite, I think. So we'll when you do your first offseason update, Mitchell, you'll have to do how to watch Famiglia Scaio games, and
I will have to do some research on that because I don't even know myself.
Just to see Chachi and Marianne Badian, also on Famiglia. No Dorka, as we mentioned. Dorka's in Turkey, but I agree, and that's they will make a EuroLeague run, likely, and kind of in those big sort of behemoth matchups. So good for Jess. A lot of good opportunity here, and when I was asking her about Italy, and her eyes just lit up, and that was before I was like, I gotta get some recs from you for Italy. We never got around to it, but definitely great minds think alike in endorsing the great nation of Italy with Jessica Shepard. So
one thing
post some food pics on the Instagram, Jess, for all of us.
There is one thing about Jess that she absolutely loves playing overseas, which I that's great. I mean, that is phenomenal. But she just loves playing overseas basketball.
She's got a traveler's spirit for sure.
Yeah.
So and that's another one. I don't know if her if she's started games yet. Though I didn't check for her. I'm not sure why.
think they did. I'll double check while you're talking here.
But if she, I don't know if she's gotten in any games yet, wearing number 32. Guys like their jerseys too. That all orange is sick.
She's played in one so far.
Okay.
October 12th, at least. This is updated. Her first game, she had 23 points and 10 boards. So another double-double.
That'll do. Yeah. Jessica Shepard doing Jessica Shepard things.
In 24 minutes, too.
Was that a league game? It was like against another Italian team?
Yep. Yeah. Italy Serie A or A1. Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, best of luck in Italy, Jess. All right. And then I'm assuming that Masha and Ola are returning to Ekaterinburg in Russia. They are listed on the roster and on the team website still. I couldn't find any other info out there about where they may be playing or not. So I kind of am just assuming they're going back. And it's the active roster that they're on, like, updated photos and everything. But they haven't played in any games yet. But I think that season sort of just started in the Russian Premier League. Yeah. That's one where, they aren't eligible to compete in EuroLeague. So from a training camp standpoint, you like that. They'll be on time for training camp. At least I think. From a development standpoint, especially for Ola, I think, you'd love it if she were to be in a spot where she could, get that experience and make a run at that. She's still so young and, 20 years old. So it's not like we need to worry about it that much. The Russian Premier League still a very high level of competition. And, she was away from home for the first time. I've no problem with her just being back home where things are comfortable for the season, but definitely, something to keep in mind for this winter. But the two of them together again, and we love Masha so much, and she's played with Ekaterinburg since 2018. So that's, home for her too. And obviously Ola is one of the few players under contract for next year. And I think, Cheryl would have a certain amount of Lynx fans, maybe an open revolt, maybe not quite that drastic, but people who would be sad to see Masha go.
Yeah.
So
I would love to see her back, to be honest. And I think it's tough with the players that they grab from overseas. We even saw it with like Chechi, when she was in Minnesota, like it's tough to keep them over in the WNBA, which I get. I mean, I totally understand that. It's the same thing as some players going overseas. Like, it's tough for those teams to keep them over there. So it's the exact same dynamic, just the other way around. I'd love to see Masha back. She, I thought, had a phenomenal end to the season. We obviously saw her extended run in the postseason, just with Minnesota needing size. Kosu, I'm really intrigued to see how she does this offseason, if she takes a little bit of a step up and kind of an uptick in production, just based on what, being a part of this Lynx team for a year, and, kind of being a part of the coaching staff and that tutelage, and just kind of see if she can use some of those tools and that knowledge to kind of take a next step overseas. Like you mentioned, she's still very young. She has a lot to learn yet, she has a lot of development yet to do. And there's a long road ahead of her, but I'm intrigued to see what happens with her, and just kind of if she's able to uptick this offseason, even if it's a little bit, just see a little bit of better production than what we saw last offseason, because that just obviously shows a sign of growth. But it'll be fun to watch those two, or to see how those two do together on the floor again, together again like they were in Minnesota. So it'll be fun to keep an eye on them this offseason.
Yeah. For Ola, I think it's just minutes.
Yeah.
Because minutes are obviously tough with the Lynx, and someone that young, you just want them playing basketball.
Yeah.
So I really look forward to reading your summary of, diving deep. You're going to be on so many Russian web pages, Mitchell. Better not end up on any lists or anything like that.
Yeah, right. I don't need to be in more trouble than what I
Right.
am.
I'm just I'm a Lynx media member, I swear. Um, moving on to the first team selection of the All Terry team, Cameron Taylor, who had a great season in Greece last year, is moving on to France, playing in the first division of French basketball. Landino Breton Basket. I don't really know where Landernau is. And I pride myself on being able to pronounce things, and I'm doing a terrible job right now. Landerneau. I know. I was looking at Maya Hirsch's team. Maya's on a new team, and she's in northern France. So Cam might be different, but I think from just knowing colloquially, having conversations about overseas basketball, the French league, I think is a nice step up from playing in Greece, where Cam just had an awesome season and got to play a lot. So I'm happy for her that she's in kind of one of these premier leagues in on the continent. I hope the playing time stays consistent with what she got
Right.
last year. She posted, cheers to my rookie season post on Instagram, and it's like every single Lynx player like commented on it with just adoration. So, Cam, obviously we make fun of me for just how invested in the Cam Taylor Chronicles I've been, but that was one of the things I was paying attention to this training camp, because it's interesting when players who don't make it get invited back. And I think that that's something that Cheryl doesn't take lightly. No one's getting just happy to have you here kind of invite. Right. That's not the way the Lynx work. Like, you are here because you have maybe not a chance. That might be too nice, but like, you can help, and we're considering you for serious basketball matters. And right. There is an element of filling out a training camp roster and making sure that you got bodies to run through sets and things like that. But yeah, so I think the fact that Cam has been in 2 Lynx training camps, was one of the final cuts in both, and then this season, when there was space, was brought back and eventually signed to a rest of season deal. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do think it is telling that she's been back multiple times. I think that's a great sign for her. And now it's just a matter
3 separate calls from Cheryl saying, come here. That's not nothing.
Right. And like you said, it's one thing to get a training camp invite, even multiple training camp invites, but it's another thing to be signed during the season. And I think that was a big sign. And it's, I mean, that's great for her. If she can just continue, and I have no doubt that she will, but just continue some of the production that she had overseas, just continuing to get those reps, continuing to showcase what she can provide, whether it's in Minnesota or somewhere else. I think she'll end up getting a spot somewhere. Right. But it's it is telling that like you said, she's been back multiple times, and right. That shows that Cheryl and her coaching staff, they obviously have an interest in her.
And man, I hope she's back too, because media day is a great day, but it can also be tough. And the way in which we get access to players is they're paraded through one at a time, and it takes a while. And Cam is a great interview, so can help break up the monotony and just getting the chance to catch up on her first foray into the French leagues, and how that went, and the types of things that she worked on. And of course, we'll have you reading between the lines of French basketball this year, Mitchell. So Cam to France. Maya Hirsch is also in France. But we got one more player from the 2025 roster to talk about first, and that is Jalen Sherrod, who is not leaving the country, not going overseas. Jalen will be in Nashville in Athletes Unlimited, which we love to see. There is a pretty nice roster of names in AU again this year. I won't pretend to know how, like, the different the format of AU and how what it signals for progress. Players, they play a lot, they score a lot. There's a whole different point system. The teams are like changing. So I look at minutes first. I try and watch. I'll watch as much AU. That's one of those, like, we get it here in the States without having to do any kind of like torrenting or pirating or streaming. It's just it's on regular channels. I forget who their broadcast partners are again, but Jalen will be in Nashville, and I think this is great for her. And another, like, these names at the roster aren't nothing. At that the towards the bottom of the roster aren't anything. Coach mentioned multiple times last season how coachable of a player Jalen was. So I don't think she was brought in just to take up space. I don't think she was brought in just because the Liberty cut her so that they could sign Emma Meesman. And it was funny to bring in a former Liberty player. And I think Cheryl mentioned company knowledge was a tick in the right basket for her. But yeah, this is a big offseason for her, and AU is a great place for her to do it.
Yeah, it's just getting. I would say that next up behind, obviously unrivaled, it's a good backdrop is AU. You're still getting some WNBA talent. You're still getting some top tier talent, and you're staying in the States. She can continue. I know she's in Minneapolis working out or whatever at the Lynx facilities. They just posted on their social media, so she is still here and getting in some reps and getting in some work, which is a great sign. But yeah, I mean, it will be. I mean, just getting we kind of talked about it with Cam Taylor too. Just getting some time, getting some reps, getting on the floor. That just pays dividends. And yeah, it'll be fun to watch her. We obviously didn't get a ton of opportunities to watch her here in Minnesota since she signed during the season, but it'll be interesting to see what she's able to do, if she's able to do much I don't want to say down in Nashville.
It's over. It's over a little bit. It's over a bit and down a bit.
Down and over, down and over. But yeah, I mean, and like you said, people, basketball fans, WNBA fans, will have the opportunity to see it too, which is the key thing. So we'll see what happens and see what AU can present as in totality this year, in what kind of product they can produce. It is a very intriguing format, though, of how they do things.
Right. I need to watch more of it before I can get on this podcast talking on my ass like I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it still is professional basketball. That's what we know. But you can't and you shouldn't do this ever. But like, just look at box scores and be like, oh, this is what that means.
Right. That season starts February 4th in Nashville.
Okay. Well, yeah, I imagine that was today that Jalen was over at Mayo Clinic Square. I think she's got 2 more weeks of that being available. I imagine you can't do it if the league is if the league's locked out. So
is true.
We'll see. They might move that deadline, but whatever. We're not talking about that. And then real quick, just 2 players who are on on the roster officially under contract if they want to play in the WNBA. Dorka Yuhas playing for Turkish Giants Galatasaray, and also first round pick, number 12 overall in 2023, Maya Hirsch, still in France, new club, same country, Les Flammes Corolo in Charleville-Mézières, France.
You sound like somebody that just went overseas for a good.
I come back and like go into your coffee shop and go, actually, it's pronounced croissant.
Croissant's very underrated, by the way.
Bro who's been to France one time. No, I don't do that, but I sound like a freaking Beauty and the Beast extra on Broadway. Dorka and Maya, chances that one or both are back. I think obviously Dorka much more likely.
Yeah,
pretty good overseas arrangement for her though.
Yeah, I mean, to your first question of I don't know if we'll see Maya Hirsch anytime soon. If we will see her ultimately in the WNBA, we got to see some big steps forward, specifically overseas with her production. Last offseason, she didn't really play much. Part of it was injuries, but she just didn't play much and didn't produce much with the minutes that she got. But Dorka, I'm very intrigued to see. That's my word of the day. Apparently today is intrigued. I've said that about 100 times, I think, in this podcast. But I'm very interested to see.
The offseason's intriguing.
Yes. I'm very interested, let's say, to see what happens with Dorka. I think we could very well see, maybe let's say there's a scenario where Jess Shepard ends up leaving, signing somewhere else. Maybe we see Dorka coming back as a result of that. Maybe we see her come back regardless. In 20.
I think Dorka would have been usable this year.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. The
minutes would have been less, but
right.
Yeah, she could have helped in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I mean, just her ability to stretch the floor and just kind of, I don't know, kind of spread you out a little bit is very important, I think.
One of my favorite bits of analysis ever from Coach is during Dorka's rookie year, where she was talking about like Dorka had a good game or something, and we heard Dorka's a very mature person, like mature beyond her years. She knows basketball, she knows the game well. And then Cheryl said she's faster with the ball than she is without it, and that seems backwards. A new one. Yeah. So next time you're watching Dorka Juhas, watch her with the ball and watch her without it, and just see if you can spot the difference like Coach can. Mitchell, we are beyond time here, but I think we are much more suited now to go into this offseason. Obviously, your offseason updates will be at Canis Hoopus, canishoopus.com. As soon as they start going up. What is kind of the the schedule template for that again?
Yeah, that'll come out every Monday. And I'm hoping to start it here. I'm probably gonna end up, it'll be a couple weeks yet, maybe a week or two before we start pushing those out. But probably I want to wait until a lot of the players end up starting. And we'll see. Obviously we have Unrivaled yet, that'll wait. That'll be included in there, who's playing there. But I'll have all of the information. I'm planning on doing it every Monday again at Canis Hoopus, and we'll do a full weekly roundup of how players are doing over the last week, and then in totality to that point in the season, wherever they are playing. So yeah, that'll be coming here soon, which is hard to believe that we are already talking off season. I feel like we just started the regular season, but such is life in the WNBA.
Yeah, it never stops.
It doesn't.
And no days off, no rest. Especially if you're Kayla McBride. Who,
no kidding.
Because she doesn't need it.
He does not sleep.
It's the most impressive superpower I've seen any pro athlete have. Mitchell, thanks, buddy.
Of course.
And we'll be in cahoots with much more off-season content as well.
Absolutely. Happy to join and always enjoy listening to Lynx Happy Hour. So appreciate everybody listening as well.
For sure. Thank you, man. Thank you once again to Mitchell Hansen. Thank you, as always, to Nate Pence and the entire team at Pence Homes and all the wonderful sponsors of the Hitting the Hardwood Podcast Network, Firehawk Construction, Homage, Fantasy Sports Evo, our amazing Patreon patrons, and all thanks, as always, to all you beautiful people who listen to the show. Please take a moment, if you can, to make sure you're liking and subscribing and rating and reviewing 5 stars wherever you get your podcast. It really helps us grow the show a lot. We'll have much more for you over the WNBA offseason, and here's hoping for really good CBA news sooner rather than later. Not expecting it, but still hoping for it. That's what it's all about. So thank you again tuning into the show, and tune in again next week to a brand new episode of Lynx Happy Hour, the podcast, where Lynx basketball is always on special. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace.